Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Carolyn. Oh, I need to make sure I turn that volume off. Okay. This is actually not rum, it is coffee. But while sitting in Rosie's live last night, I worked on the cap and it's inside out right now because it's easier to sew it that way. But I have the two center sections that we sewed. And then I have this piece around here that we sewed. And I am currently sewing the brim on. And then when I get finished, I will flip this inside out and it will look good. And then I have to work on a mock-up for a different kind of hat that I'm making for someone else. Carolyn, I hope you had a good day today. And I'm going to guess you can hear me okay? I worked. I went too far. I need to back it up. I forgot to roll this. Yep, I got to back it up a few stitches. I'm going to cut these ends off because it'll be quicker. Because this hat, when you're off the brim of it, this part is supposed to roll to give it a nice finished edge instead of having a raw edge. Back this up to here. I think that's where it goes. I think I might put a few clips on these to help roll this edge and keep it rolled. Make it easier to stitch it. And that way we'll have a nice finished edge. And then tonight when I go upstairs, I will box it, I will label it, and arrange for them to pick it up tomorrow. And then it will be shipped out to its final destination. I like getting commissions out. This will be 3 commissions out this week. Oh yes, I love these red clips. They're the bomb because you can't put needles. Well, you can, but you don't pin leather together because it'll put holes in it and the holes will show. So these are like, I tell people these are my leather needles. They hold things in place. Make sure I get my needles straight. Getting this part started is the hardest. And Carolyn, sometimes doing little is the best thing on earth to do. Sometimes that's exactly what your body needs you to do. A whole lot of nothing. Use them on your dehydrator for fruit, huh? Oh, that one should not catch the hole. There it is. I use these for all kinds of things because they're just good. My fingers are not cooperating today. Just dropping things. Gotta catch both of these layers. What? I think this is. I need to check something. Make sure I got this right, and I don't have to flip it because it looks It almost looks like it's backwards now. Let me see something. Because when I flip this, I think, oh man, I think I'm going to have to restitch this piece. Because I think this is supposed to be on the outside. Fudge. This is the second time I've put a piece in totally upside down. But at least I catch it before I'm... I caught this one much earlier than the last one. The last one I caught it when the last one I finished sewing the whole part before I realized I did it wrong. This is only the second time I've made this hat, and this is the most complicated part of it, is getting this part in correctly. I don't know why it's being difficult. I'm going to cut my thread if it doesn't come on out correctly. It should just pull without issue. I just don't like pulling it on the finished side of the leather. I prefer to work from the unfinished side of the leather. That way I don't have to worry about scratching the actual finish. Because we are not perfect and we make mistakes. Hi, Peggy. Good to see you here. I'm just making a correction to a mistake I made. I stitched my headband part in wrong. So I'm unstitching it so I can restitch it. And I will finish this flat cap. By the time I make the third or fourth one, I won't make this mistake again. I think I sewed Scott's in 3 times before I got it right, because the instructions are not real clear on sewing this part in. And Peggy, I cannot wait. The end of this month, I go down and I see Robbie and I actually get the jewelry that you made, because it's all sitting at Robbie's waiting for me. I haven't gotten to see any of the stuff that any of the jewelry that you made that I paid for, other than on the screen. So I'm kind of excited about going down there and getting it. Oh, thank you, Peggy. I enjoy doing it, and I've had people say, "Oh, why don't you do it on a live? Why don't?" And I'm like, people want to watch me stitch, and everybody's like, "Yeah, we'll watch you stitch, and then we can talk to you and ask you questions and stuff like that." It's like, okay, as long as no one causes any problems for me, we're good to go. And I am free to answering any questions. If anyone has any questions about anything, I have no trade secrets. I'm not if I'm doing it on here. There's no trade secrets to it. I need to turn this other light on. Put some light on the backside so I can see what I'm doing. My weights keep falling over. Still catching on something. Sometimes I'm not perfect and I will stitch one thread through the other, which is you're not supposed to do. It affects the being able to tighten the threads. Oh, macrame, huh? I have done macrame. My mom and a lot of the ladies that she went to school with, even as adults, kept in touch and hung out together. And they called it a club. And basically, one lady would host a meeting and organize some kind of craft, and they would all get together and make whatever it is. And one of the ladies knew how to macrame, so she brought the supplies in, and they all macrame. She taught everybody how to macrame, and we all macramed a planter, hanging planter. And because my mom was a single mom of two girls, they allowed us young girls to hang out with the old ladies in the club. Looking back now, I don't consider them old ladies since they were a lot younger than I am now. I hate undoing things. I really hate unstitching. I think they used to call it the Homemakers Club or something like that. They did one where you used cans, like the cans, like tuna cans or canned chicken cans, and you would cut the top all the way off, and then they would tape around it and stuff, and they did crochet around it, and basically made furniture for Barbies. Crocheted furniture. They would obviously wash them out good first, but they would stuff the cans with cotton and crochet around them and make chairs for the dolls. You know, they made stuff that most of us probably don't have in our homes anymore. Those crocheted things for toilet paper to go, basically the crocheted dresses for the dolls for toilet paper. They would do stuff like that. Or they might, someone might bring a recipe and they might cook something specific. So yeah, it was fun. We used to go to the Tupperware parties, and the first time we went to the Tupperware parties, because mom had brought two young girls, they decided that we should be on mom's team because they figured we would slow things down in the games. And we actually aced all the games because us girls knew how to use Tupperware. They had like the stacking bowls, and you had to unstack them, put the lids on them, burp them. Then you had to take the lids off of them and restack them and pass them to the next person. And we grew up with Tupperware. So us girls could do it faster, just as fast or faster than most of the other ladies. So we did that. And us girls, with my mom, beat the other teams. So let me see. This goes like this. This does go like this. But when I get here, this goes here. This goes. Does that go in? I think I'm going to start here. Doesn't look right for some reason. But I guess it is. And I talk to myself when I do things. So if you hear me talking and you know I'm not talking to anyone, just, be nice. Because I do talk to myself a lot while I'm stitching. I just don't think there's a. I just think it would look better if it was inside of that, but that's okay. That's the way it goes. And then this is flipped. I know I'm going to have to flip the whole daggum thing in a minute because that goes that way. sometimes getting these pieces started is hard. I'm trying to get them started and snug at the beginning so that everything's where it belongs. I do it like that, and then when I flip it, it's going to be like that. That is correct. Except that one didn't go all the way through. This did. I think I'm going to flip this back inside out and work from there because I think it'll be easier, like I had it earlier. One day I want to learn how to wrap things for jewelry. Not so much for making jewelry as it is for some of the stuff dealing with my leather. I think it could benefit me with my leather working. And before I get too far with this, I just need to make sure that when I flip this hat, I have to visualize to make sure the pieces are going together correctly. When I flip this, and this is flipping this way. Yes. The black will be underneath, the green will be under there hidden. And this will all be folded under nice and neat. Yes, that's right. Now I can proceed and whip this out. I have some stones I would like to wrap for the purpose of being able to incorporate them into my leather goods. But at the same time, I don't want to randomly wrap something without knowing what I'm doing and lose an important stone. There's a way to do it with leather to on certain stones. It's easier. You do a cutout in the leather, a little bit smaller than what the stone is, and you use vegetable tan leather because when you wet vegetable tan leather, you can stretch it, and it also shrinks when it dries. So you basically cut a hole in the leather that's the same shape, just a little bit smaller, and you put your stone down, and then you center that hole over it, and you use a little bit of glue around the edge to hold things in place. But then you stitch around it as well, and that little lip that holds the stone in place, when it dries, it'll shrink just a little bit. It'll hold the stone tight in place, and that's how they do it on a lot of them. And then whatever it is, the purse, the hat, or whatever gets wet, you're at risk of the leather stretching and losing your stone. And so I thought it would be cool to incorporate a small amount of wire wrapping on that, because even if I did basic top to bottom, side to side, it would give me some points to stitch it just to secure the stones a little better. And I would do that on more expensive pieces. Because who wants to pay $100 for the perfect cabochon to put on a hat and then it fall out? But on something like that, I would not use my water-based glue. The only time I use water-based glue right now is when something's going to be stitched. Like I have two pieces of leather here glued together. I've got a black and a green glued together, and I use the water-based glue on this because it's going to be stitched all around, so I don't have to worry about it pulling up. If it were not going to be stitched on the edges, if the edges were going to be open, then I would have used what I call my stinky glue. It's closer to a barge cement, which is not water-based. It's harder to clean up. It smells to high heaven. Gets you high as hell if you're not in a well-ventilated space. And that's what I use when I'm not going to stitch around it. Now it's time to tape my fingers because I'm already feeling right here where the threads are pulling on my fingers from doing multiple days of stitching. Because since last week, I finished up the chess set for Marcia's grandson. I did a leather frog for Kimberly Chess as a gift for somebody. And then I've been working on this. And I pull the threads through my fingers. I grip it like this when I pull it. And after a while, I already have a cut on this finger from it. The threads will cut into your fingers. Yeah, it is stinky glue. It's actually the one I have under my desk is a barge cement. The one they call leather weld is basically a barge cement, but it costs a lot more because it says it's leather weld. formula-wise, it's the same thing. It does the same thing. Smells is bad. And I'm all about save a penny where I can with that. Okay, now I can move my fingers and not rip my fingers open anymore. Even though someone last night thought it was funny that I was cutting my fingers. Yeah, and it's funny because the frog, I didn't even have a pattern for the frog. When I was doing Scott's hat, because, Scott likes frogs, I was like, it'd be cute to give him a little frog. So I went online and found a pattern and mocked it up to make him a frog. And then Kim Chess contacted me and says, hey, what would it take? I would like to get a frog because they call my brother Frog, and I thought it would be cute to get him a little frog to give him for Christmas. And so it's like, okay, I'll reuse the pattern. And the chess set and the frog went out in the mail today. So they will arrive sometime this week. Tried to knot my thread, so I've got to undo that. This hat should go out tomorrow because I'm going to finish it tonight. And before I go to bed, I'll take good pictures of it that I can post after he gives it to people, the person that's getting it. But after I finish the hat tonight, I will also I have a mock-up cut out for a garrison cap that somebody wants. The military style garrison cap. Hi, Dottie. And so I will make the mock-up, and maybe I'll get it done tonight. I might throw it on the sewing machine to sew it together because it's just making sure that it fits more than anything. Instead of cutting into leather. Because of that style of cap, it's a little more difficult to make sure that the sizing is correct. And since he's going to be paying for 2 of them, I would rather not cut them out and it both be wrong. Because he's getting 2 that are identical in the same size. And so I will cut them out at the same time. Kind of go back and forth like assembly line to get them done. And those I will not put on video because those are going to be sewn on my machine. And I don't know that I can set the video up over there and get it where I can watch chat. Awesome, Dottie. Reference photos are welcome, unless you already know what style is. I have not used my laser cutter yet, Peggy. It is sitting across the room from me, mocking me because I know that setting it up correct is the most important thing. So I just have to make sure that I have a lot of uninterrupted time that I can dedicate to it. Oh, that's that thread, yeah. so that I get it set up correct, because I might have to tag in some people that are online that have the same ones as I do, to make sure that I have everything set up correctly to get it started. Once I get it started, there'll be no stopping me. One of the things I'm going to use it for is doing some of my cutting out of my leather. I'm going to test it because someone said they were trying to do it. It made the holes way too big. And if that's the case, then I won't use it for this. I'll use it to cut out stuff that I'll sew on my machine maybe, but not stuff I'm going to hand stitch. Because I don't want, I put holes in my leather to be able to stitch it as it is. And I already use holes smaller than what the pattern calls for, so that they're not as noticeable. Because a lot of the patterns call for using a 1.5 millimeter 1.5 millimeter punch, and I prefer to use a 1. The downside is I can't pass through 2 needles through at the same time, so the stitching is a little slower, but I think the look is better. I'm going to double check this, because when I flip this, yeah, that's how it'll be. That's what I want. Oh, so Dottie, you're wanting a flat cap as well. Okay. Will I use strictly leather or fabric for what, Peggy? I guess I need to figure out how to put my email address on here. Oh, for my laser cutter? No, you can cut leather. I don't know. If I wind up screwing this up, I will be back. I'm trying to figure out how to put a banner on here, but I don't know. I can't. No. I am probably going to do it wood as well, as long as I know I can. Well, this did exactly the same thing, so that did not help. Cancel. Banners. There it is. Create a banner. Aha. I'm taking a step back, and I want to email. Awesome, Peggy. I absolutely will. Oh, I cannot type. You can scroll across the bottom, that's fine. See if that worked. I just realized that string is hanging in the way. That's okay. I misspelled my email address. But it's not putting the banner on. How come? Interesting. I don't know. Okay. Well, I'll just have to edit the video and make sure that my email address is on here. Hi, Jennifer. I'm going to put my email address in here. Since this thing doesn't want to make my banner go. Oh, wait, did it start? Yes. Woohoo! I learned something new. See, I'm new to this whole thing and trying to figure out this StreamYard thing and all. Jennifer is one of my old friends from before I found Robbie's group. And now people can email me if they want a commission. I hate working in the blind like this. But it leads to a neater look on the finished edge. And see, that's where I wrap my thread and I pull it to make sure my stitches are snug. Yep, Jennifer, be the Southern old lady, rocking in your rocking chair, drinking your sweet tea. Jennifer does not currently live in the South, so when she is able to come down, she definitely makes sure she takes advantage of all the wonderful Southern things she can't get up north where she lives. Oh, Peggy, absolutely. I understand that, you know, there's times that I can't be typing in a chat because I'm stitching. So having someone say, I'm going to be here, but I'm going to be doing something with my hands and can't type is perfectly okay with me. I get it. Oh, these threads are so long. I don't know how you do it, Jennifer. There's no way I can live up north. Of course, I don't think the north could have me living up there. Of course, I don't go anywhere where it snows over an average of 4 inches a year. That's like insane. This whole concept of people like being where it snows all the time, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. My body hates it. I just can't do the snow. It snows pretty and clean until someone steps on it or drives through it or and stuff like that. Yeah. I have lived where there's snow. When I lived in California, we lived up in the mountains. Yeah, snow was a thing. It was pretty the first time. And then it's like, my feet are cold. My hands are cold. Yeah, see, I don't mind my summer heat. But I know there's a lot of trade offs. No matter where you go, it's going to be, I like this part about this area, but I don't like this part. So, yeah, for me, not being in the snow is a big one. My body doesn't do well in the snow. My old arthritis says no snow. No snow for you. Oh, I bet they have better weather, rain gear and snow, cold weather gear. When you're in a place where it snows all the time, you have to. I mean, hey, we had a day or two that it got 32 degrees here. I think one day we got 29 degrees. That was like at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, though, so it didn't matter to me. I wasn't out in it. I was sleeping through it. Yeah, you had a lot of reasons to get to a better environment. A better and safer environment for you guys. Yeah, Carolyn, you would cook down here in the summertime because you've lived in a cooler climate your whole life. Coming down here in the summer, it would you'd be like, I can't breathe. Which is what happens a lot of times when people come from other areas down here in the summertime. They don't realize how much the humidity affects your breathing abilities. And they come down here from a place that has a dry heat, and they come down here in the humidity, and it, you got to chew the air. I used to tell people when I would drive over to Mississippi from North Carolina, somewhere around Mobile, Alabama, there's a shift where you get to the point that you can taste the air with the humidity and everything. You can actually taste the salt in the air. Well, hell, I live here and I don't love the politics. I try to fight to change it, though. Because, good Lord, I should not have to if I have to take my husband with me in order to get the medical care I need, we're going to have a problem. Because, we're in the South where women don't know their own bodies. Or so they think. And I've got to go to the doctor about my thumbs. And last time I did, they told me there was nothing wrong with them. So this time when I go back, I'm going to tell them, number one rule is you can't tell me there's nothing wrong with my thumbs, because if there was nothing wrong with my thumbs, I wouldn't be in excruciating pain a lot. And no, you can't give me a stupid brace that makes it where I can't type on a computer because I type for a living. I absolutely cannot do my job if I can't type. Because that's what they tried to do last time, is give me a brace that made it where I couldn't type. And they only gave me one for one hand. But now I have both hands hurting me. Dottie, do you know what color you want the hat? I have to give Scott some kickbacks after him getting me to make this kind of hat, because I was procrastinating making a hat like this. I didn't want to make one to show off because it was like, I won't wear it. Who's going to wear a hat like that? And then Scott requested this style hat. I made his, and everybody fell in love with it. Rosie was asking me about it last night for her husband. And these aren't terrible because I can get them out in a few days. It's not like the chest set, which takes me almost a week to do if I work on it every day after my regular job. The chest set is extremely time consuming. That one is not a complexity thing, it's a time, because there's so many little pieces and parts that you have to work on. And this one is not time consuming, it's physically, it's more labor intensive on my hands. Got my thread hung up. There. Well, leather is not that hard to take care of. And if you take care of it, it will take care of you and it will last a lifetime. Yeah, Scott's is made with ostrich legs. So his has specialty leather. It cost me a bit to make his. Those ostrich legs are not that big. I think I used, let me see, 1, 2, 3. I used 4 ostrich legs. And that was over $80 just for the leather. For that leather. But I had shown him, I didn't even look at the price of the leather when I was showing him pictures, and I showed him the pictures and he fell in love with it. And he's like, oh my gosh, I love it. That's what I want. And there was absolutely no way on God's green earth I was going to tell him no. And go, nope, that stuff costs too much, man. So what I do is if somebody wants it in ostrich or gator or snake or something like that, I have to do the upcharge for the cost of the leather. Just because of the cost, the sheer cost of it. Because I do factor in my time. And yes, Jennifer, I believe you watch Southern movies so that you feel more connected to the South. Jennifer, I'm going to have to find the perfect leather hide and buy like 3 or 4 hides to set aside just for you. And see, that's one of the things I run into with some of the leather I have here is they're one-offs, so I can't just order more. Like this hide, I can order multiple hides this color. Some of the leathers I use, I can definitely repeat over and over. But some of the ones I have, which eventually I'll take pictures of and put them up, I bought them on special. They were misprints or miscolored or whatever. And so I got a special deal on them. And so they're I've got what I've got, and when it's gone, it's gone. Jennifer wears a lot of rainbow. Jennifer's gonna have to get a pair of bell-bottom pants and be like that 60s full rainbow flower child. Just wait until you see the hat I'm making that Vari commissioned, Jennifer. It's not, they don't need it until after the first of the year, so it's been pushed behind the commissions that I need to get out before Christmas. And then I'll work on that one. And that's going to be a fun one. It's going to be all bright and multicolored. It's going to be something else. I think it's going to be one of the more wild hats that I've made. Get to stretch that thumb on occasion. Yes, it is wax thread. That's what you wind up seeing, these little bits of wax build up. And I clean all that up after I finish. This particular thread it's like extra waxed or something. This brand has a tendency to, I have a couple of them that are like that. The brand, they're just super waxy. I have some I recently bought. I got some of the primary colors, and I grabbed the red the other day, and it was like, my gosh. And then I realized it's all the same thread. The wax thread is important. It makes it feed through the holes better. And it also keeps it lubricated in the holes so that the thread is less likely to rip the leather itself. And when I set my stitches, the leather also packs in the holes and kind of helps fill the holes. Won't make it waterproof, but does make it a little more water resistant. I'm not getting into melting beeswax and coating leather to make it waterproof. That's the kind of gear I'm not into making at this time. That's drinking containers. Looks so different when it's inside out. Some people stop every few stitches and pull it. I actually try to pull it as I go along. I have to adjust that ring. It won't stay closed. I think my coffee is now empty. No, I did not take the candy lips. It is basically the same wax, though. It's a basic paraffin wax. I tell you what, going live has actually motivated me to work on things more. If I can figure out how to stream from the sewing machine, I might have to have someone go on with me that can read the chat for me. Because I definitely won't be able to read the chat because I don't have a computer right there at the sewing machine. Oh, you're pain in the gizzard here. And I don't know that I could show my face while I was stitching. I make really funny faces while I'm stitching. And I don't know that I want people to see my face when I'm stitching. Just realized I was sitting here with my tongue half hanging out. Let's see. I think I'm going to go back through there. Don't think that's where I wanted to go. And when it flips out, yep, that'll work. That will work. That will work. I am going to sew this extra. This leather is not as flexible as I would like it to be. It doesn't want to just bend to my whim. It's like I'm like trying to bend it. It's like, nah, not today. Haha. Right here where it transitions from having the brim to not having the brim, I'm putting in extra stitches to ensure that it pulls snug. And when I flip it, it looks good. There it goes. I stick my tongue out while I'm stitching, Jennifer. No. My hands will be happy when I finish this hat. I think my hands are going to get a hot waxing. Yeah, that'll work better. I have to pull out my hot wax pot. Wax these old aching hands. Melt some Arthur away. See, it should come up right through that hole, but it doesn't want to because it's hard to bend this leather. No tying the thread and knots. Because at this point I'm sewing through 3 different layers. This layer twice because it's folded over. There's holes here. There's holes here I have to match up. And then I stitch it into this piece as well. Going this way is not so hard. It's when we're going back the other way. It goes through that first layer, and then when it needs to come through this second layer, it doesn't want to. Ah, it did that time. I think this has been on here long enough. Get these clips out of the way. Make my life easier. And after you've done it a while, you start doing it by feel. You know where those holes are supposed to be, and you can just feel them. There we go. Biggest thing is making sure I don't skip any holes, because if I do, when I get to the end later, I don't have the holes I need to finish the product. And then you have to unstitch it and start over. Or unstitch it at least to where you skipped a stitch. And I'm done unstitching this one. I don't want to have to unstitch it again, so hopefully I won't run into any more issues. They do sell glow-in-the-dark thread for this leather work. I don't know how well it glows. But just as an FYI, they also make a glow-in-the-dark paracord. Just realized I have 3 options to see you. I have Facebook up over here. I have StreamYard up here on the computer. And I also have StreamYard on my phone because I'm filming from the phone. Yeah, I have some of the I can't even remember what kind it is, the paracord. It's standard size paracord. I haven't used it yet. I got it for my blue and black boots, but I haven't they usually have white laces in them, and I haven't had the energy to take the laces out and start over. And that's a whole lot of lacing going on in my boots. But I thought it would be something fun to have glow in the dark laces in my boots. Go walking into some place where it's dark and my laces light up. Be like racing stripes. We were talking about boots one day. Someone asked me if I would ever wear my boots down to Robbie's, and I'm like, no. My boots are custom boots. They're not for being worn in a gator marsh. Ooh, I got away from that edge, and now it's getting a lot easier to stitch. Yes, it's cooperating. Get this baby finished tonight. That's my big thing, is getting things out. I want them in people's hands so people can hopefully say they love them. I haven't had any complaints yet. The only complaint I've had is someone complaining about prices because they want custom good leather goods in Walmart pricing. I'm like, yeah, I want custom work in Walmart pricing too. It just doesn't work that way. Because I do get paid more than 25 cents an hour. I don't charge as much as some leather crafters do. Some of them, I look at their prices and I'm like, that's ridiculous. But I guess it's not too ridiculous if they have people paying the price. You know, if they can make this cap and have someone paying $600 to $800 for it, then rock on. I'm just not in the position to charge that kind of money for it. It just doesn't feel right. I mean, if someone offered to pay me that kind of money for it, I wouldn't say no. If someone said, would you take $600 for one of these flat caps? I'd be like, yes, I would. That's true, Peggy. It's kind of like people thinking your custom wire wrapped stones necklaces should sell for $20. It's like, really? What about Peggy's time? Pretty sure Peggy's time's worth more than $1 an hour. Because you got to take supplies into consideration, plus the time. And yeah, when you're hitting the 925, like the stuff that I have to get, when you're hitting using the 925 wire, they're not. I've seen people, it's like, oh, well, Robbie sells those stones for $30. Why is he charging so much for a necklace made out of it? And it's like, uh, sterling silver, time, skill. Because that's the other things that people don't think about is it's not just the products you use to make something. What about all the equipment I had to buy in order to be able to do this? My hole punches are not Walmart specials. I do have some that were Amazon specials that I don't use that often. But my hole punches I got after I learned how to do this stuff, and I was doing it well. I stepped up to using good quality hole punches. I've got my custom little hammer here that I put the leather on because I have a tendency to use the top of my hammers for things, so I wanted to protect it. It's like these tools I bought, these aren't cheap. And what about the number of hours I spent practicing and the number of things that I've done and undone and redone and undone and redone, threw in the trash, because spending all that time learning the craft. And by golly, if you think you can make one of these hats for $35, I say go for it. And I've actually told someone that when they said, oh, well, I could just make that for cheaper. And I'm like, go for it, baby. Go for it. And I knew they couldn't for what they wanted because the leather alone would cost more than what they wanted to pay for it. It's like you're not making this hat with that leather for less money. Could I learn to wrap stones? Yes, because I'm going to. Could I dedicate the time and energy into being as good as Peggy is at it? Absolutely, I could. Is it going to mean that what I wrap cost me less? No, because of the time I put into learning to do it. Yeah, people have no clue. That's why when I was making Scott's hat, I measured, I mocked it up, I measured again, I measured it, I measured it, I measured it because I had no extra leather for his. I had 4 ostrich legs, and that was it. If I would have messed it up, I would have had to gone back to the guy who only sells them in a pack of 4 legs. And I would have had to get another 4-pack of green, that color green ostrich legs. Yay! I got that piece done. And when I flip it over, I'm going to have to beat the heebie-jeebies out of it to make it. That's wrong. That is wrong. Because this finished edge here should be on the outside when I flip it, and it's not. It's on the inside. I think when I get here, I have to move this to the outside edge. Let me see something. Excuse me while I do some handling of this hat to flip it. Yeah, because this folded edge, it should be like this. Let me see, is that? Yeah, that's wrong. I'm going to have to. This is what I hate about this hat. I need to make myself notes so I don't forget to do the special things to it. And I know this is the hardest part. The guy who makes this pattern has told us this is the hardest part. And I think this is exactly what I did earlier when I realized it was wrong. So yeah, it's So yeah, fix this again. My thread's starting to get a curl to it now. Pull that out, straighten it out a little bit. Undo, redo, undo, redo. I gotta turn my heater down. My legs are getting a little toasty under the desk. What I need to do is I need to quit procrastinating, and I need to move the things around that are necessary to make it where the guy can come down here and fix the air in the basement. But it requires me to move a lot of stuff around. In order for him to get to the things he's going to want to have access to. We have to move stuff in the other room so he has access to the power, to the breaker box. Okay. So now you need to flip to this side. Or should that have been underneath? Oh, I'm so confused. Now I'm wondering if I sewed this wrong. And if this should have been sewn to the underneath of this piece. I don't know. I can do this. I can absolutely do this. If I don't quit having to rip this out and start over, I'm going to wind up having to change my thread partway through. I'm not going to have enough thread to go all the way around. Find my wax. There it is. I also keep some paraffin wax so I can wax the ends if necessary. makes threading the needle a whole lot easier. There, that feels better. The worst I ever did was I sewed a rather large bag. I'd been sewing for about 3 or 4 hours and realized I put one of the main pieces in upside down. I had to rip out 3 hours of work and start over. That was the worst. And that's why I get to a certain point and I start checking what I'm doing now so that I can catch sooner when I make a mistake. And if my videos do nothing else, it shows that I'm only human after all. I think I'm going to totally change how I sew this and sew this part first. Because once I have this part sewn on, the rest of it will be easier. Actually, I need to work from there. I think I'm going to make about 5 of these hats in different sizes just so I get my stitching down on these. Come up with a better methodology of doing it so I don't have this issue in the future. That's what I want to do. Which one are you? You're that one. I know what I want to do now. I can do it from here. Might have to do that one. 1, 2, 3, right? Like I said, I think I did Scott's 3 times. But I pretty much did his completely 3 times, stitching it and taking it apart. Back it up. In the hole, in the hole. Work blind. Peggy, when you're doing things, do you ever have to work totally blind? Where you can't see what you're doing, you have to rely on your hands? It's like I know the hole's there and it's just not going in the hole. I want it to go in this hole right here. Oh, where's my... There it is. There it goes. Thank goodness, huh? And then when I get finished with this, I get to pound the heck out of these stitches to make them lay the way they're supposed to lay. There. Now I can go 1, 2, 3. I think my hands are tired from all the stitching I've been doing the last few weeks. Because there's been a whole lot of stitching going on. I need to move that before I cut myself open over here. Yeah. I've discovered it's harder to work when your fingers are taped. There, I think once I pound it, and then that'll roll nicely and it'll be a nice flat edge on this side and it'll look better. I got a snag in this. I'm hoping that I can fix this. I got a snag in my thread I need to fix. Fixed. Yeah, I think next time I think I'm gonna start with maybe 4 needles and start from the back and sew this way, and then flip it and sew it the rest of the way and finish in the front, just for my own peace of mind. I need to see if I have any ugly leather I can work with just to practice. Make sure these stitches are nice and tight. Ah, are you referring to the ones that are like the rubber finger condoms? I can't remember what they call them, finger cots or something like that. Or are you referring to the ones that are a little bit thicker than that? I gotta figure out how to make my stuff purple on here instead of blue. I need to get some of the leather work gloves. They're basically finger parts that come to just from here to here on all 4 knuckles, and then they just have a strap that comes up to put on your hands to hold them in place. And then just start working with them all the time instead of waiting until I cut my fingers just before I do, and just get in the habit of wearing them and just leave it alone and wear them. It's like, shut up and wear them, woman, kind of attitude. Because if I would do that, I would quit cutting up my fingers. I think it was when I was making John's hat, I was pulling threads and I went to move my hand and the thread was embedded in the crease of my finger. It had just cut through and I didn't even realize it because my hands were so fatigued. Make sure my stitching is straight. That's one of the things people don't realize is getting straight stitching is not a real simple thing. It's kind of like saying you can get even spirals real easy. No, it you have to do things a certain way in order to make it consistent and make it look good consistently. It's an ADHD, OCD, whatever thing is. I've seen someone where you're looking at their stitching and their stitching looks like it's like some of the stitches look like they go this way and some look like they go that way, but there's no consistency in it. And so it's just a jagged line. And part of that is repetition. If you noticed, I always start going from my right to the left. I always put this needle in first. Then I come back and I feed this needle through. Then I feed this needle through. Then I feed this needle through. And it's very consistent. And that's what helps keep my stitching straight. I always put this thread down and this thread on top when I'm going in here. And it just creates a consistency with it. Hi, Jennifer W. I was going, why is Jennifer saying, hey, Tori in chat? Then I realized it's a different Jennifer. Good to see you here, Jennifer. I am finishing up this hat that is going to be similar to, it's the same style as Scott's hat, but a different leather. Thank you, Peggy. I try to make my stitching excellent. I'm a little bit mental about it. I rip things out if it doesn't look right. Yeah, I like that edge. It's gonna be nice and smooth. A little burr in the thread. Yes, I am actually somewhat of a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like this. And part of it has to do with my own ADHD and stuff like that, is that if something is off like that, it's what my brain focuses on. I try really hard not to do that, but I can't help it. It's just the nature of who I am and how my brain processes. And I would rather take a little bit longer to get something done, to get it done to where I feel it looks best, rather than speed it up and to get it done. I took a little bit more time on the chess set for Marcia than what I did on the first one I made. Partly because I knew it was a gift for her grandson. And the first one was, I was just practicing with it when I started, and I said something, and Z says, I really like it, I want it. And so I gave it to Z, rather than just have it as a piece sitting around here. So Z got my demo model, the one I used first to test the pattern. It was the first time I'd used it. Most people don't see my demo pieces. Yeah, and I don't know if you saw what I did with Marsha's for her grandson. Is it has the chess set and the checkers, and I also made a matching dice board and included 5 dice of each color. The main colors were red and blue, and so I have dice of those colors as well that I included because I found out they also play a lot of Yahtzee. No, it is not on Instagram yet. I won't post it on Instagram until after she gives it to her grandson. The chessboard on the one I made for her is red and blue. And yeah, it was just kind of cool. The one on Instagram is the one I made, the first one I made that lives with Z now. My grandson had picked out the colors for that one, and Z's like, I like it. Like, okay, you can have it then. Oh, making sure that thread is gonna be stable. But yeah, I can't wait until after Christmas because then I can post that, the pictures of that, and the pictures of the frog I made Kimberly, because I can't post that on Instagram yet either. My grandson brought me eggnog.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Topher.
I figured, hey, I want a cup of eggnog. So I didn't get any last night. Well, yeah, I did, because I went down and grabbed mine. I was like,
Yeah, the whole half gallon disappeared last night.
yeah. And then I was like, hey, I want eggnog before I go to bed. I'm going to bed.
And that was my grandson, if you heard someone talking to them. Peggy said hi, Topher. Peggy is from Robbie's channel. Peggy does silver wire wraps around gems and jewels, and you will see some of Peggy's work when I get my stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, after Christmas, once he has it in his hands and has opened it up and saw it, then I will be posting pictures of the one I made for Marsha's grandson. It'll probably be after I get back from Florida. I'm still debating on when exactly we're going, other than it'll be after Christmas and we will be home by New Year's. We will leave there New Year's Eve to get home. And we will get home before the midnight hour. A lot of people are like, you're going to travel on New Year's Eve? And it's like, yeah, better to travel New Year's Eve than New Year's Day. New Year's Eve, the drunks haven't gone out yet and gotten drunk. We'll get on the road and get home before all the drunks get out. As I'm working on this, when I'm trying to flip the flip it to push it under. I'm feeling it in here. Yay, arthritis. No, let's not do that then. The art of getting old. We get arthritis. Yeah, we use our thumbs a lot, don't we? I'll just do it the slow way. I'd rather do that than kill myself, kill my hands. Oh, I hear the grandkids yelling at each other upstairs. Lovely siblings. Yeah, you don't realize how much you use your thumbs until you can't. I didn't realize how much I used them until they put me in a brace that made it where I couldn't use them. And it was like, this is not going to do. I absolutely need my thumbs. I can't work without my thumbs. Not even the leather working stuff. It's I can't do my regular 9 to 5 job without my thumbs. Because this is not my primary income. It's got some leather fuzz in that hole, doesn't it? Here it goes. Oh, I skipped a hole. That won't work. That's why I check all these transition processes, because right here I skipped this hole. And then when I got around to the other side, I'd be short and the hat would sit crooked. There we go. Check, double check, triple check. I was pretty sure that is not. Oh, it did. Haha. Did you actually catch? Nope, it did not. Okay, quit trying to do it the easy way or the quick way. Catch all the layers so it sits right. There we go. Yep, I have to beat the heebie-jeebies out of this hat when I'm done. I need to do some little write-ups for the different kinds of leather to tell people how to care for their leather goods. Yeah, luckily if I run out of thread, there's a way I can add more thread to keep going. But if I miss a stitch and a hole, then there's no way to fix it. You have to undo it. You can't even change the design to fix that. Can't make a hole where there isn't one. But I know a lot of people, they won't work with long threads. They actually work with shorter threads and will change their thread out 3 or 4 times on a project. And I'm like, no. I don't want to change my thread. I would rather work with long thread. And a lot of people just don't want to work with the long threads. Keep catching this on the end of the table. That's going to look nice, smooth, clean edge. Nice finished edge. And I actually look at my work multiple times as I'm processing it, doing stuff with it. It's like, I like it. I like it. I like it. Or if I don't like it, I'll change it. I don't think I've ever done a pattern 100% exactly the way the maker of the pattern intended it to be made. I think I have changed every pattern I've worked with in some way. I found that hole quick. Yeah, this leather is a little thicker than what I think this pattern was originally intended for, but it's still making for a nice hat. It's going to look good. The guy's going to like it. I mean, he picked the color, so he should like it. I literally sent him to the website of the people I get the leather from. And I'm like, you can pick anything from this page or this page. All of these will work. And then he told me which one to get. And then he paid me money and I ordered a hide of leather. The downfall of the site that I got this leather from is you have to buy an entire hide. One of the places I get leather is Springfield Leather, and they will let you get by the square foot. So if I have a project that needs a custom leather and you only need like 5 square feet, I can get like 6, 7 square feet to do that project. I need to get me grab one of my name tags that I have to put in here. And my grandson took my other scissors, so I have to. because I do have my own label. Oop, slide right off my hand. And I like them. And now that I have them, I make sure that I put them in on all my projects. Yep, that'll work. With my fancy clips. Oh. How am I going to put this in this hat? I might have to leave that way. Let me see if I stitch it in there. Trying to do it so that when I stitch it in, because I want to stitch it underneath here, that it still sticks through. So right there. And I'll just fold over this edge and hand stitch this. Get a different needle. Get a little piece of thread. So I'm going to stitch it in as I go. I always forget to put my labels in, and then I have to go back and stitch them in. And that in itself can be a pain in the patootie. And actually, I think I'm just going to stitch this on each side. Call it done. And when I get the laser printer working, laser cutter, I can actually use it to put my laser, I can laser the image of this on leather goods. Oh, come on through there. Yeah, I can't wait till I can laser, because then before I start, I can lay the leather out and just have it laser straight into the leather. They have some people that make leather goods, and they always laser their stuff like here where it can be seen by everybody. And I'm like, no, I actually don't buy stuff that's like that on purpose. So I'm not going to do that to someone else's stuff and make it where they're, I don't like wearing logos on the side of my head or anything or stuff like that. Um, so I don't want I don't want to force people to say, you know, if you're going to get something of mine, you have to have my logo. I would rather be able to, you know, put something custom to that person on the side of it instead. It'd be kind of cool to be able to laser, you know, people's names or something on the side of their whatever they get. Yeah, they have people that have, you know, their maker's mark just like mine. They have it's basically it's a label, and they stamp it on the side of everything. It's like, and then they'll post up in one of the groups. They'll say, "Would you buy this?" And I'm like, "Nope, I wouldn't buy that because I don't want your name across the side of my head," you know. And they don't understand that. And it's like, well, it's no different than wearing a Nike symbol or something like that. And I'm like, well, I don't do that either. I don't want to wear Nike on a side of a hat. It's just the way I am. And if some people don't understand that, that's on them, not me. That worked perfectly. That's why I put mine on the inside. You know, it's Scott can take his hat off and show someone the label inside. He doesn't have to have my name branded to the on the side or on the back of his hat. I do not know why this is being difficult that way. I need to prep a bunch of these on the computer. I mean, on the computer, on the sewing machine, instead of having to stop and do stuff as I go. Because it would also be neater if I did them on the sewing machine. But my skills are not label making. Oh boy. There we go. Like with this, I put the label where he could tuck it inside the hat band if it bothers him. Being someone that's label sensitive. Yeah, the labels sit right there and look beautiful. Would help if I quit trying to bring the table into it. I keep catching the end of my table with the thread. Whole lot going on in this back piece. Because these seams are folded over too, so right here it's kind of thick. There we go. Yeah, I try to put the labels in where they irritate the least. I'll go through the label. These needles are not made for puncturing, for sewing cloth. They're blunt tip needles. So trying to make it puncture through the ribbon of the label is not easy. Ah, much better. So that label will be inside here when it's finished, which I think is better than having it up against right at the skin. The only other place it would have been better would have been to sew it inside in this seam. But I don't think looking inside the hat aesthetically it would have been better. Yeah. I think I have a few lurkers in here. Okay, I know I have a few lurkers in here. And that's okay. I don't mind lurkers at all. Absolutely do not mind lurkers. I feel like I keep missing the hole. Oh, here we go. Not much left to go. Hi, Francis. I hope you're doing well. I don't mind lurkers at all. I have gone into rooms to just watch them and not say a word myself. I am not offended by lurkers. I had to drink my eggnog before it got warm. Because if it gets warm, I won't drink it. Mm, realized I put one through the wrong hole. I need to back out. Back these stitches out. I need to fix that. It's in the wrong hole. And I cannot have that. It's stitched into the thread. Okay, it's you. That one went through the wrong hole. So then that hole. At least I didn't finish it before I fought. By the time I caught it. Exactly. I've paid. Eggnog has to be cold. My grandson had just brought it down not that long ago. So I wanted it to drink it before it got room temperature. Yeah, what I had done when I put this thread through, instead of putting it here, I put it in this hole. So it would have been at an angle this way instead of straight across. And I can't have that. Yeah, I don't want to have to rip half this hat out again. I've done that enough tonight. I've ripped out enough stitches tonight. I don't want to rip out any more. I am going to have to do some extra work here, which means I'm going to have to splice some thread in. But that's okay, because I got it how I want it, and if I have to fix that one little spot, that's okay. I can do that. Because the rest of it looks awesome this way, and so that's the way it has to be. I was sewing an outfit for my sister while I was helping her do it. I put her zipper in 3 times backwards. I have this thing about doing things 3 times wrong. But I put her zipper inside out, where the zipper tape was on the outside of the outfit instead of the inside. This is when I was much younger. It's not the kind of mistakes I make now, but I think I was like 15, 16 years old. And she wanted to make an outfit and she didn't know anything about putting zippers in. And I'm like, I can put zippers in. And I guess my arrogant attitude got to me because I had put zippers in multiple times. I'd made multiple skirts. I was making most of my clothes by then. And except pants is the only thing I wasn't making myself. But other than pants, I was making all my clothes. I would make my skirts, dresses, and tops. So I knew how to put zippers in. But Sure enough, I put her zipper in wrong multiple times. And like I said before, I'd sewn 4 hours on a bag and have to rip 3 hours of work out because I put one of the main pieces in backwards. And the first time you have to do something like that, it's like, "Oh my goodness." And then after that, it's like, "Oh, whatever. I'll be better at it next time." And that's like redoing the stuff I've redone on this one. It's like, okay, I need to make a couple of these and get it down to a science that I know exactly what I'm doing. One of the other styles hats that I've made multiple times, it's like I know what to do. It's no big deal because I've made 4, 5, 6 of them. And so 7, counting the first one, which is not wearable. But sometimes you have to make the unwearable in order to make the wearable. I had someone told me I should alter my patterns so I could sew faster on the sewing machine. I'm like, nope, I'm good. I chose hand stitching for a reason. But I do have a couple of things I will make using the sewing machine, such as the Garrison caps, because the best pattern I have needs to be done on sewing machine. With some of the work that would be done on there, my fingers would be tore to pieces if I tried to do them by hand. Exactly, Peggy. And I told someone, I work with technology for a living in my 9 to 5. And that was the whole point of me starting to do this, was getting away from the technology. Poking a hole in my finger over here. But getting away from the technology and doing things without that. The reality is I could cut out a project, and I could take it, as long as I do all the holes and cutting out and everything, I could take a stitching project with me virtually anywhere. Except on an airplane. I don't think they would let me have the needles on the airplane. So this is my creation away from technology. Because I write programming code, so I create stuff every day on the computer. Oh wow. I have patterns for luggage, but I haven't made any luggage yet. It's like I have some shoe patterns, and I've done a pair of sandals for myself, but that's about it. Starting to feel that much better. Yeah, I would have to check, but usually when I'm flying, I'm sleeping anyway. I just sit back, close my eyes, and go to sleep. Flying is not my strong suit. I am gonna have to do that. Darn it. I'm gonna have to restitch some of this. Need to be careful with that so I don't cut the leather. That was nice. I just threw my stitch picker. My favorite stitch picker in the floor. And I'll add some thread at this point and secure this, because obviously I don't want it falling apart. Now I can put this back to the way I want it. Finish this off the way I want it to be. So that both sides are the same. Because you can't finish one side one way and one side another. Doesn't work that way. Oh, I can imagine that. I don't think I would want to sew anything for NASA. I mean, it could be lucrative since they are notorious for spending money, but don't know that I would want to work with their politics. We had a NASA facility where I used to live. And I know a lot of people who used to work for them, including my ex. And I know how he had to play politics with them. Not something I could do. I was not very good at playing their games. The ISS, Peggy? International Space Station? The NASA facility in Mississippi down on the Gulf Coast basically took over a small town. They bought the lands and moved people out, moved cemeteries and everything. There's actually a cemetery still on the NASA property. But they moved an entire small town to build the NASA facility. Wow, Francis, never even been on a plane? Ah, there it goes. Surgeon's not it is. Surgeon's not for security today. And you normally do not tie things up, but for this one I did. This will be nice and hidden under here. This thread melts really nice, so it helps close it up and secure it. Yes. Now, did I just drop one of my needles? No, I did not. One flat cap. Think I might work on this edge a little bit. I'm going to use some Tokonol. See if you can see that. Yeah, Tokonol. It's Asian, but it's good for finishing edges. And it's this white paste looking stuff. Pull a little bit out so I can close up the jar. And not have it drying out. Thank you, Peggy. I'm just going to finish this edge up and smooth it out some more, and then probably put one more coat of paint on the edge of this leather. Put some more leather paint on it and try to give that edge a better look. Since this is the edge that people will see. If I can't get it good enough by hand, I will get the Dremel out on it. Note to self, finish this edge really well before you sew it. Let me see. Huh. I'm going to have to touch up the black on this a little bit. Make sure I do that part next time. I'll do that ahead of time. Yeah, the black leather I used on Scott's was different from this, so it finished different. And you know one thing before I edge tape this, or edge paint this, I am going to tape the end of it so that the green leather so that I don't paint on it. I know time flies, absolutely flies. I get on here and it's like I don't even realize how long I've been on until I look at the clock and it's like, holy crap, I've been on that long. The first night I was on, it was like that. It's like I'm going along and then I look up and it was like 3 hours later and I'm like, what the heck? Where'd the time go? But I am almost finished here. I'm going to burnish this half and then I'm going to put some tape on it and put some leather paint over this edge. Just wanted to smooth her out a little bit on this edge. It's one of the things we do for the parts they see. The only thing better I could do for that edge is to use a really thin leather and cover this edge. But I think that would just add too much to it. I see a hair. Yeah. See if one of these little spatulas would work. I already know I'm going to be very careful, but this is like extra precaution here. And I'm using a low tack tape so it actually does not leave residue behind on the leather. And I do that on purpose so that I can do little things like this and not have to worry about cleaning up a sticky residue when I'm done. Because unlike sewing with cloth, you can't exactly use pins on it. So it's taped and clips are about all we can use to hold things where we want it to be, unless we glue it. And what I'm doing now doesn't require glue, so yeah. Taping is most appropriate. Time flies when you're having fun, huh? Or when you're dealing with insanity, one or the other. Yeah, I use a cheap masking tape that I get off Amazon because it's low tack and it's inexpensive. And I buy big bundles of it at one time. And I'm using, again, I use the Angelus leather paint. It's acrylic, but it's a leather paint. And to put it on, I'm using these disposable makeup applicators because they're cheap alternatives to using paintbrushes that you have to keep cleaning. And this way, no matter what color I'm using, I don't have to worry about, did I clean it well enough? I can just throw them away and get a new one. Q-tips leave little cotton hairs behind. And then I have to clean up cotton hairs. These are foam. So you think equivalent of a foam paintbrush, just smaller. And since I'm doing edges, that's all I need. And after this dries, I'll buff it again. And I'm not using a very thick layer of paint. I think I just threw 3 of those sponge brushes in the floor. Rub it in, rub it in. Actually, I might put some heat on it. I just got paint on my fingers. Gotta keep my environment clean. I'm gonna let that get hot. Seal these edges up. And get my brush out and brush this off. You'll get a nice little cleaning. And then he will get a nice little conditioning. And then he will get packed with paper and sent upon his way. He will get packed away tonight, ready to go. Let's see if it's hot enough yet. Yeah, it's getting there. I definitely need to put the hot wax on my hands after tonight. Good night, Peggy. Thank you. Thank you for coming and hanging out and watching. I enjoy sharing what I know. Sorry I'm not talking much. Just kind of focusing. Something about working with a tool that can burn through your finger. The last thing I need to do is touch my hand with that. hang that thing up in a way that it's not going to touch anything. Yesterday I touched it on my garbage bag, which is bad. No, I don't worry about things drying my skin because I have all the things that I work with when it comes to leather. My hands get a lot of nourishment. Let's see if I can get some of these things off my hands before I start doing the conditioning. Because the conditioner will eat up some of the tape glue on the tape, and it'll make it into a sticky residue on my fingers. Not exactly what I want to work with. I should have kept one hand clean. Because I don't want to put this inside of the hat. Put a little bit of neutral dubbing on it. For his trip to wherever he's going. I have the information, it's just not off the top of my head. Do the underbrim part. Roll this. I think I want to put some clips on here for a little while. To shape this leather a little bit. Ah! Put it on my table, and my table's not clean. It's time for me to rip up the tape that's on my table and start over. I do that between projects. God, I love this color. I'm someone who, I am not a person that likes green a lot, but this is a good green color. That's my dubbin I get out of Australia. And I'm using a neutral, which is what I would use on anything that's not black or brown, because those are the only other two conditioner colors I have. But yeah, while he's waiting to be boxed up, he will absorb some of this conditioner. And I don't have a skull, a head right here for me to put this on. Usually I have one of my hat heads that I set things on, but there he is. That's the front edge that people will see. You can go to the top of the hat, to the back, the one side, the other side. I made sure these edges were nice and finished back here. And it comes complete with, well, I guess that's backwards, isn't it? Well, yeah. My label on the inside. I don't know how well that can be seen. Let me see. Oh, wait, that goes that way. Yeah, that doesn't show it up any better, does it? But there's my label. Which my labels are just black ribbon labels with silver writing on them. Went too far. Just the basics so that if someone wanted to order from me, they could, based on the information inside the hat. But I am done with this baby, and he will go out. I might box him tomorrow. I don't know that I'll ship him tomorrow unless my hubby wants to go to the post office for me, which I don't think he does. Otherwise, I have to stay up late and get it boxed tonight. And I think I just want to let these clips sit for a while and bend this leather, mold this leather to how I want it. Because that's what these clips are doing. So yeah. Think I'll let him rest tonight, box him tomorrow. He will still make it in time. He will still make it to his destination on time. And that's what's important. He's not needed until a couple of days after Christmas. And I absolutely want it there before Christmas. So that the person gifting the hat has time to look at it and see it and pet it and say that he likes it, since he's the one that paid for it. And tomorrow I have to come in here and pick all my hairs off of it because I know there are some. My hair gets on everything. I have purple hair down to my rump, so everything has my hair on it. It's kind of like the art of having cats. If you have cats, everything in your house has cat hair. If you have a dog, everything in your house has dog hair. And if you have hair down to your rump, everything in your house has your hair. Yeah, I like it. I do like it. I think I'll take a picture of it while it's still on the work table and send it to him. So I think that is it for tonight. It has been almost 4 hours. So I am going to wrap it up for tonight. I thank everyone who stopped in and hung out. I appreciate you very much. And I hope to see you all in the future. Be safe in this crazy world. Be kind to yourself and others. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.